Do you have reoccurring knee pain? Pain right below the kneecap? It hurts when you walk up or down the stairs, when you squat, and when you play sports? Or maybe you've been strengthening your knees and going through rehab, and once you feel like you're finally healthy, you go back to playing your sport and boom, it comes back. So this is patellar tendinitis, or jumper's knee, which is inflammation of the patellar tendon underneath the kneecap. Or it's patellar tendinopathy, which is degeneration of the tendon. Yeah, so I've experienced all of the above. And this video is for people with knee pain who don't know what to do. So let me tell you one thing. The absolute first thing you need to do is stop whatever's giving you pain. So if you feel pain after playing pickup basketball, or in my case jumping, then stop doing that activity as a whole. If you feel pain right after or 24 hours after, then that's a sign to stop. Listen to your body. Never ever fight through pain when it comes to a tendon injury. Alright, first let's talk about what causes knee pain. So from what I know, tendinopathy can come from three things. One being overuse, which is the most common reason. This comes from training too long, too often, and training too hard. Of course, it's important to train really intense to actually improve, but the problem is that most people do a light intensity workout and think they can go from that to a high intensity workout the next day. Doing that too often and too long will lead to overuse injuries, such as this knee pain you're probably going through. The second possibility of why you might have knee pain is poor glute activation or poor ankle activation. If you have poor glute activation or minimal hip hinge when you land, or squatting, or playing sports, then there's going to be more knee flexion, which puts more load on the quads and the patellar tendon. Same things for ankle activation. When landing from a jump, if you have poor eccentric strength on the ankles, then some of that force that's supposed to be absorbed by the ankles are going to the next joint up, which are the knees. And the third thing is poor mechanics. This sort of ties in with the second reason. What I mean by poor mechanics is mostly when you're landing. If you have a stiff landing and a short landing time like me here, that puts a lot of stress on your knees. See how I'm barely flexing on the hips and I'm barely using my ankles to absorb? All that force is going to my knees, which is why I have knee pain right now. You want to make sure you're flexing at the hips and also plantar flexing at the ankles to help your knees out and absorbing the impact. So here's what to do. Once you realize you have to stop the activity that's giving you pain, I would say to take a day or two off just to let everything recover and come back to the gym to actually load the tendon, but very lightly. So there's a 4-step process of how to get rid of knee pain and get rid of patellar tendinopathy. The 4 stages of tendon rehab are isometrics, isotonics, energy release and storage, and back to sport. Isometrics are first. These are static holds and one of the best things to do for knee pain. You can do all kinds of isos, like leg extension isos, Spanish squats, split squats, etc. 3 to 5 sets of 45-second holds. Increase the weight for leg extensions, or if you're doing Spanish isos or wall sits, then increase the depth once you're ready to go. Go at an intensity so that your knees feel amazing afterwards, because isos kind of have an analgesic effect, which means it relieves pain pretty quickly. If you feel pain afterwards or 24 hours after, then that means you put too much load on the isos and you should dial it back. These isos should be done every day. That's the only thing you should do once you're ready to advance to the next step. How long should this phase last? It really depends on how bad your knee pain is. It could last a week or it could last a month. If you feel like you're ready to progress, then do that, but don't rush things. The next phase is isotonics, which is a fancy word for describing all the exercises you're accustomed to seeing. Lengthening and shortening of the muscles. So a squat, a push-up, bench press, etc. All these are isotonics. And slowly build up to heavier loads. During each rep, you want to go down slowly and up slowly. Faster movements in squats will put too much load on the tendons, which might irritate them. So we want to avoid that for now. Something you can do to ensure that you're going slowly is counting to 3 before you hit the bottom of your lift and counting to 3 before you hit the top of your lift. Also, don't only focus on knee dominant exercises. Remember, we want all of our muscles to be strong to help our knees in absorbing the impact. So we know that slow squats and slow split squats are going to help and are one of the best things for our knees, but we also want to do some posterior chain exercises to strengthen the glutes, hamstrings, and the calves too. Start with 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps with lighter weight, with 2 squat variations, 2 hip hinge variations, and 1 calf raise variation, seated or standing. Use a weight that is challenging but not too heavy so that you can do 12 to 15 reps. I would say to do this 2 to 3 times a week while also doing your isos every day. As long as the pain doesn't exceed a 5 out of 10 after the workout or 24 hours after the workout, then you can continue progressively overloading with the weight. We want to go from eventually doing 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps to 3 sets of 6 reps with heavier weight. Again, for the 6 reps, you're still moving slow on the eccentric and the concentric, 3 seconds down and 3 seconds up. So for the 6 reps, we're using a heavy weight, where after the 6 reps are done, we can maybe do only 1 to 2 reps extra. After doing that for a couple of weeks with slow and steady progressions, then your knees should be feeling a lot better right now. Remember that we're not participating in any sports or any explosive activities during this whole process. The third phase is energy storage and release, which is a fancy way of saying plyometrics. Now that we strengthen the tendons and the muscles surrounding it, we need to slowly expose the tendons to absorb force and release energy rapidly. And we do this by bringing plyometrics back into into our routine, but very light plyos. We can start off by first jumping onto a box to remove the landing aspect, which focuses on energy release. We can then go on top of the box and start doing depth landings, which focuses on energy storage, then progress into regular standing jumps at about 50% without a box, which focuses on both energy storage and release. Side note, don't change up the intensity during one workout. If you're starting off with 50% effort, then stick with that throughout the whole workout. Then increase your intensity and effort the next plyo day if you feel no pain, and so on until you reach 100%. The pain scale is so important. If you feel pain 24 hours after or right after the workout, then that's a sign to put in less effort during your plyo days, and that's a sign that you put too much load on the tendon too quickly. Eventually you can start jumping higher on the plyometrics. You can start landing from higher boxes, jumping on higher boxes, putting in more effort steadily, eventually incorporating single leg plyos, which puts more load on the tendons, and this progression is going to get your knees back into sport. I would say to do this 2 to 3 times a week while also doing your isos again every day. 3 sets of 6 reps for each exercise, doing about 3 to 4 knee dominant exercises, and 1 plyo exercise for ankle stiffness. Ankle stiffness is super important for your knees too. What's an ankle stiffness exercise? Stuff like pogo jumps for 3 sets of 20 reps. Those types of exercise, you can do a lot of them because it's not too taxing on the body, and you can progress with this by eventually doing single leg pogo jumps. After doing that for a couple of weeks with proper progression, then there's no pain or knee flare up at all, then your knees are almost at 100%. This is when we could enter our 4th and final stage of knee recovery and start playing our sport again, but not fully. I know you feel like you could play your sport again at 100%. If you've jumped from plyometrics all the way to 100% sport, then your knees are going to flare up and you're going to feel pain again, and you're going to have to go through that whole process again, which is annoying. You don't want to rush it because this is for your long-term career. Trust me, because I rushed things and it didn't go well. So start small with about a 20-minute basketball session where you're putting 50% effort in stuff like your crossovers, your layups, your jump shots. Also try including a few jumps into your session, where first you're trying to touch the net, then you're advancing to the backboard, then to the rim. Keep track of the number of jumps you perform and increase the intensity or the volume for the next session if you feel no pain. I wouldn't say to increase both of them at the same time because that's a bit risky. So let's say the last session you did 3 sets of 5 reps of touching the net. The next session you could do 3 sets of 5 reps of touching the backboard with one hand. Then the next session you could do 3 by 5 of touching the backboard with 2 hands. Then 3 by 5 of touching the rim. And once you do all of those progressions without feeling any pain, you can start incorporating maximal jumps about 5 times only. Yes, only 5 times. Maximal jumps puts a lot of load and stress on your tendons, which is why we want to start with 5. Starting this small is essential if you want to build back up to 100%. We still want to be careful during this last phase, and we don't want to rush things. You might feel like you want to jump 100%, and you might feel like you're capable of jumping 100%, but I promise you, if you feel pain and you feel the knee flare up, you're going to regret it instantly, because that's what happened to me. So just be careful and trust the process, just in case a knee flare up might occur. So this session you could do 5 max jumps once you're ready. Then the next session you could try doing 7 max jumps if you don't feel any pain. Then 10 max jumps the next session, then steadily start increasing the volume little by little. So those are the 4 phases of knee rehab: isometrics, isotonics, energy storage and release, and back to sport. It's sort of different when you're in season because you can't really fully recover and go through these phases if you're competing in games with maximal intent. So if you have knee pain and you're playing competitively, I would suggest playing less minutes or skipping a few games if you really want to get rid of your knee pain, just so you have time and energy to incorporate these 4 phases. Also, shout out to Jake Tura. He's one of the main guys I learned from when dealing with this knee pain. I just looked at all of his videos and his videos were so informational that I learned so much. Honestly, this whole video comes from him. He's one of the most knowledgeable guys in this field in patellar tendinitis and how to get rid of knee pain. So if you want to learn more about knee pain and more in-depth information about dealing with knee pain, then check out his channel. I just thought this was a good way of spreading the information, just so more people are aware of how to get rid of knee pain, because it's annoying. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Peace.